Every woman in your grandmother's generation had thick, long, strong hair well into her 70s. No serums, no keratin treatments, no $100 bottles with ingredients nobody can pronounce. Just one thing costing less than 50 cents that the billion-dollar hair industry made sure you forgot existed. This is not a hair tip. This is a story about how an entire generation's knowledge was deliberately erased, replaced with expensive chemical products that damage the very thing they claimed to fix. Your grandmother knew the formula. The beauty industry buried it. Today it comes back. There is a moment that every woman who has stood in a pharmacy aisle staring at 40 different shampoo bottles knows intimately. The moment where you pick up one bottle, read words like Pro Vitamin B5 Infusion Complex and Keratin Restructuring Matrix, have no idea what any of it means. Look at the price, $25, $30, $40, and put it in your cart anyway, because you have been conditioned, slowly and expertly, to believe that complicated and expensive means effective. That moment is not an accident. It was designed. It was engineered by an industry that needed you to forget something. Your grandmother never forgot that the most powerful hair care in the world grows out of the ground and costs almost nothing. The formula has 2 ingredients. Reetha and Shikakai. If you grew up in South Asia, those names probably just unlocked something in your memory. The smell of your grandmother's kitchen on wash day, the dark liquid she boiled in a pot on the stove, the way she worked it through her hair with her fingers without rushing, without a timer, without checking her phone. If you did not grow up with those names, write them down anyway, because what these 2 plants can do to human hair is something that no laboratory product currently on the market has been able to replicate despite decades of trying and billions of dollars spent on the attempt. Reetha is the dried fruit of the Sapindus mucurasi tree, known in English as the soap nut. It has been used across India, Pakistan, and Nepal for over 2,000 years as a natural cleanser. The reason it works is chemistry. Reetha contains natural saponins, which are compounds that create a gentle lather when mixed with water, and are powerful enough to remove dirt and excess oil from hair without stripping away the natural moisture and protective oils that your scalp produces. This is the critical difference between Reetha and almost every commercial shampoo on the market. Modern shampoos use synthetic sulfates, sodium lauryl sulfate, sodium laureth sulfate to create that satisfying foam that we have been taught to associate with cleanliness. Those sulfates do clean your hair. They clean it so aggressively that they remove everything, the dirt, yes, but also the natural sebum that your scalp spent days carefully producing to protect and nourish your hair follicles. Your scalp then panics and overproduces oil to compensate, which makes your hair greasy faster, which makes you shampoo again sooner, which strips the oils again, which triggers more overproduction. The cycle is perfect for the company selling the shampoo. For your hair, it is a slow and continuous disaster. Shikakai is the second half of the formula, and it is where the hair growth story becomes genuinely remarkable. The name means fruit for hair in Hindi, which tells you everything about how completely this plant was understood by the people who used it for centuries. Shikakai comes from the Acacia consina plant and contains a natural concentration of vitamins C, D, A, and K, along with antioxidants that strengthen hair at the follicle level, the root, the place where growth actually begins or fails. It has an extremely low pH, which means it naturally smooths the hair cuticle instead of roughening it the way alkaline shampoos do. Smooth cuticles mean light reflux off the hair shaft evenly, which is why hair washed with Shikakai looks shinier than hair washed with even the most expensive salon products. It also means the cuticle seals moisture inside the hair shaft rather than letting it escape, which is why hair treated with Shikakai consistently over time becomes noticeably thicker, stronger, and more resistant to breakage. Your grandmother did not know any of this in scientific terms. She did not need to. She knew what she had observed across her entire lifetime and across the lifetimes of every woman she had watched grow old, that the women who used Reetha and Shikakai kept their hair longer, thicker, and stronger into old age than women who abandoned these ingredients for modern products. She knew it the way people knew things before the beauty industry existed to tell them what to think, through direct, uninterrupted, multi-generational observation. That kind of knowledge is extraordinarily difficult to acquire and extraordinarily easy to erase. All you have to do is convince one generation that the old way is primitive and the new way is scientific, and the chain of transmission breaks. The knowledge doesn't get passed down. The grandmother's formula stays in the grandmother's kitchen, and the daughter buys shampoo at the pharmacy. This is exactly what happened in the 1970s and 1982, as multinational consumer goods companies expanded aggressively into South Asian markets. They brought with them not just products but an entire ideology of modernity that positioned traditional practices as backward and chemical products as sophisticated. The marketing was brilliant and ruthless. Television commercials showed women with chemically processed, artificially smooth hair being admired and chosen and celebrated, and then showed women with traditionally cared for hair as old-fashioned, behind the times, not quite good enough. The message was never stated directly. It didn't need to be. The association was enough. Within a generation, Reetha and Shikakai went from being household staples to being things your grandmother used, charming, perhaps, but not really for modern women. With modern lives and modern standards, the billion-dollar industry had successfully convinced an entire civilization to abandon a 2,000-year-old system that worked, and replace it with a 50-year-old system designed primarily to generate recurring revenue. The formula your grandmother used is not complicated. You take dried Reetha 10 to 12 pieces and dried Shikakai pods roughly the same amount, and soak them overnight in 2 cups of water. In the morning, you boil the mixture for 15 to 20 minutes until the water darkens and the pods soften. You let it cool, then strain out the solids and work the liquid through your hair from root to tip, massaging it gently into your scalp for 3 to 5 minutes before rinsing. That is it. No measuring, no mixing, no special equipment. The total cost of the ingredients, bought from any South Asian grocery store or ordered online, works out to less than 50 cents per wash. The results, used consistently over 4 to 6 weeks, are not subtle. Hair fall decreases noticeably because the scalp is no longer being chemically stripped and forced into oil overproduction cycles. New growth becomes visible at the hairline because the follicles are receiving the nutrients they need without the interference of synthetic chemicals. The hair that grows is stronger from the root, which means it breaks less, which means it gets longer. This is not a miracle. It is simply what happens when you stop damaging something and start nourishing it instead. The beauty industry knows this works. This is not a conspiracy theory, it is a documented commercial reality. The active compounds in Reetha and Shikakai have been studied extensively, and multiple major cosmetic companies have filed patents on isolated versions of those compounds for use in premium hair care products that they sell for $40, $60, $80 a bottle. They took the grandmother's formula, extracted the parts that could be synthesized in a laboratory, branded them with Latin names and clinical-sounding certifications, and sold them back to the same population whose grandmothers had been using the original version for free. The knowledge was not lost. It was monetized. And the women paying premium prices for bottled saponin extract in elegant packaging are buying a more expensive, less effective version of something their grandmothers boiled in a pot on a Tuesday morning without thinking twice about it. Your grandmother's hair was not a coincidence. It was not genetics, though genetics plays a role. It was not luck. It was the result of a consistent, lifelong practice of feeding her hair exactly what it needed with ingredients that the earth produced specifically for that purpose, and that 2,000 years of accumulated human observation had identified and refined into a formula so effective that an entire global industry has spent decades trying to replicate it, and has never fully succeeded. The formula is still here. The ingredients are still available. The knowledge was buried but not destroyed, and now that you have it back, The only question is what you do with it. Try it for 30 days. Use nothing else. Watch what happens to your hair and then decide for yourself whether your grandmother knew something the beauty industry preferred you not to know.